Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper analysis from the perspective of UPSC examination. Today we have taken up important news and articles that have featured in The Hindu newspaper, Delhi edition dated 28th February 2023. Topic for today's discussion are displayed on your screen. Let's begin the discussion. So the first topic of today's discussion comes from this news which featured on page number 1 as well as on page number 10 of the Hindu newspaper. Now news is about dismissal of bunch of petition by the division bench of Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. And while dismissing such petitions, the bench noted that the AGNIPATH scheme was introduced in national interest. Thus, it upheld the validity of the AGNIPATH scheme launched by the Union government for recruitment in the armed forces. Now, if you will look into the General Studies Paper 2 syllabus, government policies and interventions for development in various sectors and issues arising out of their design and implementation has been mentioned. And this news directly relates with the defense sector. Furthermore, in GS Paper 3 syllabus, various security forces and agencies and their mandate has been mentioned. Referring to the previous year preliminary questions, you can see that in 2016, UPSC has asked a question based on Atal Pension Yojana, that is a government initiative in social sector. As well as in 2018, it has asked a question based on Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So any new government initiative regarding sectors in Indian economy and society is relevant from the perspective of UPSC examination. Now try to attempt these two questions and let us know your answer in the comment box given below. So in this discussion, we will be taking up details related to this scheme, that is salient feature. We will also discuss reason behind bringing such change. We will discuss the challenges that are being highlighted by various experts, and while discussing these challenges, we will also look into what should be the way forward. So let's begin our discussion. So before moving on to discuss the details related to this scheme, let us understand what has been the practice till now and what are the changes under this new scheme. So the armed forces recruited young people under the Short Service Commission, that is SSC, for initial tenure of 10 years, which was extendable up to 14 years. And the soldiers were entitled for the pension benefit. While under this new scheme, around 45,000 to 50,000 soldiers will be recruited annually, and most will leave the service after the 4-year tenure. Now saying that most will leave means that out of the total annual recruits, only 25% will be retained. That is, they will be allowed to continue for another 15 years under permanent commission. So those 75% who are not allowed to continue for permanent commission will not be entitled for pension benefits. So before understanding why this change was needed and what are the intention of the government, let us look into the details of this scheme. Now under this scheme, there are several pay benefits that the Agniveers are going to get. Agniveers means those who are being recruited under AGNIPATH scheme. So they will get around 70% of their salary in hand, while 30% of their salary will go to the Seva Nidhi as a contribution. An equal amount, that is 30%, will be contributed by the government of India. Now there is a gradual increase in the basic pay, starting with 30,000 in first year and going up to 40,000 in the fourth year. Now total contribution to Seva Nidhi after 4 years would be around 10.04 lakh plus the interest. So a soldier who is leaving the army after 4 years will get a lump sum amount of 11.71 lakh as Seva Nidhi package, and this amount will be tax free. Now several other benefits are as follows. Now soldiers will be provided with various allowances including risk and hardship, ration, dress, travel as applicable to the nature of their duty. You already understood what is Seva Nidhi, that is 30% of monthly emolument will be contributed by individual while equal amount will be contributed by the government. Now there is a provision of death compensation also if a soldier dies before completing the 4 years of service. A soldier is entitled to get a non-contributory life insurance cover of 48 lakh. That means he does not require to contribute any amount in this corpus. This will be given by the government. An additional ex gratia of around 44 lakh will also be provided. So in case of death, a soldier is going to get more than 1 crore rupees as a compensation. Apart from this, a soldier will be entitled to get pay for unserved portion up to 4 years, including the Seva Nidhi component. So he is entitled to get the entire amount irrespective of years of his serving. There is provision for disability compensation also. Compensation based on percent of disability laid down by the medical authorities will be provided. And it has been decided at 44 lakh, 25 lakh and 15 lakh for 100%, 75% and 50% disability respectively. Apart from this, soldier will also get a skill certificate based on a skill acquired during the service tenure of 4 years. Now let us look into the reason behind bringing such changes. Now first reason is India is planning to have a leaner and efficient armed forces. But major reason behind this change is the economic implication of the pension. Such changes will eventually reduce the ballooning salary and pension bill of the military, thereby leaving large sum of money for the modernization of armed forces. Now understand this through following examples. Now in budget estimate for the financial year of 2022, the salaries and pensions of the forces make up over 54% of the total defense budget. That is, more than 50% of defense budget is going into pension and salaries. On the other hand, capital outlay account for 27% of the budget only. Now this capital outlay is primarily required for the modernization of armed forces in terms of equipment and armaments and ammunition. Now India's expenditure on defense pension has grown at an average annual rate of 12% in last 10 years, as you can see here through this graph. And it has specifically rose after 2014 when one rank one pension scheme came. You can see from this figure, you can see that from this graph that pension expense has increased when OROP was introduced in 2014. It has been gradually growing up and above 20% of the total defense budget and is hovering around 23% in 2022-23. While it maximized in 2020 and 2021 at around 26.4% of the total defense budget outlet. Now, if you will compare it to the other armies, US Army spends around 9% on pension, while UK Army spends around 14% on pension, whereas Russian Army spends around 8% on pension. So, a major chunk, that is more than 50% of total budget, goes on pension and salaries. Thus, the process of modernization and acquisition process of Army, Air Force and Navy takes a back seat. Now, having seen the significance of this change, that is to utilize the budgetary allocation for the modernization of the armed forces, which will make it more efficient and in line with the modern day requirements. It will also bring down the average age of the armed force personnel, which is at present at 32 years, which will go down to 26 years. Thus, other significances can be categorized under three broad headings, namely for armed forces, for individuals and for nation. For armed forces, the first significance is improved battle preparedness through transformative evolution with energetic, fitter, diverse and more trainable and resilient youth, suited to be changing dynamics of the geopolitics. Another significance is the selection of the best with rigorous and transparent selection process. Youthful profile of the army by optimal balance of youth and experience, as 25% will be retained after 4 years. Another significance is harnessing the benefits of Skill India by induction from tech institutes. For individual, first thing, it is an opportunity for youth to fulfill dream of joining the armed forces and serve the nation. It will help them imbibe military discipline, motivation, skill and physical fitness. Now, after completion of their tenure, their resume will be so unique that an Agniveer will stand out in the crowd for further job opportunities. Now, with skill screening assessment set, certification and diplomas, higher education and credits that a soldier will earn while in duty will help in smooth integration into the society. Now, another significance is good financial package that will make a soldier more stable than his civilian counterpart. Now, another significance is confident and better citizens by military training, team building, ethos and camaraderie forged over the years. For nation, it will help in achieving national integration based on unity in diversity with equal opportunity to youth including women from all regions. It will also help in nation building through empowered, disciplined and skilled youth with military ethos in civil societies. So having seen the significances, there are some challenges associated with this scheme also. So let's have a look at the challenges. Now these challenges are expressed opinion of experts and former army personnels. Because the scheme is new and it is going to be implemented for the first time, the real time and real challenges are to be assessed in future. So first challenge lies in the all India all class regiments. Now you know that army functions on the structure of regiment. You might have heard about various regiments like Rajput regiment, Jat regiment, Sikh regiment, Gurkha regiment, etc. Now, personnel of these regiments share common ethos, common cultural links, as well as regional ties. Now, moving away from this arrangement will be a tough task, as the new arrangement wants an all India and all class regiment that is open for everyone and from every corner of the country. Now, another issue is conundrum of vacancies and recruitment. Now, there has been a moratorium on the recruitment since 2020. Now, every year, around 50 to 60,000 personnel below the officer rank are superannuating, that is retiring. Now, as we know, there is a moratorium since 2020. So, in these 3 years, already 1.5 lakh personnel have retired. While in AGNIPATH scheme, we are going to recruit around 40 to 50,000 personnel every year. So in perpetuity, there would always be a vacancy of around 1 lakh soldiers, which is concerning. Now another challenge lies in the post-retirement jobs. Now government has proposed providing a skill certificate, but possibility of lack of meaningful employment opportunity post-retirement poses a challenge. Now there are concerned that if a soldier remains unemployed, then you are leaving out a frustrated, trained to kill person in a society. And experts say it will lead to the militarization of the society. Now another issue is commitment. Now prospect of short service commission that is of 4 years may affect the morale and commitment of a soldier. Expert says that main focus of such soldiers would be to stay away from any harm before completing 4 years of service. So it may affect the overall efficiency and capacity of the army. Now pay focus on one fact that apart from the vacancies, every other challenge is an opinion at a very early stage, as this would be the first year when this scheme is going to be rolled out. So we have to wait for a longer duration to arrive at any conclusion and to identify the real-time challenge that this scheme will create. So there are some suggestions also which will be helpful in addressing these challenges, as some experts suggest that there should be a pilot scheme before full-time implementation of All India All Class Regiment. While for vacancies, expert opined that government should expedite the recruitment process and should start with larger number of recruits. For post-retirement job, government should actively pursue the skill upgradation as well as government itself should look after the post-retirement jobs. Now for the commitment part, there are arguments that various strong armies like that of Israel, which works on conscription model that is somewhat similar to the AGNIPATH scheme, have proven their mettle. So to conclude, we can say that no reform can be foolproof and without teething troubles. But as AGNIPATH concerns national defense and security, the government will need to have a plan to anticipate and address the problems that lie beyond the bold step forward. Our next discussion is based on this article which featured on page number 6 of the Hindu newspaper. Article highlights how new e-waste management rule ignore the informal sector, which is crucial in handling e-waste in India. Now, the burgeoning problem of managing e-waste is a cross-cutting and persisting challenge in an era of rapid urbanization, digitalization, and population growth. The first set of e-waste rules was notified in 2011 and came into effect in 2012. An important component of the rule was the introduction of extended producer responsibility, that is EPR. Under EPR compliance, producers were responsible for the safe disposal of electronic and electric products once the consumer discards them. Now, e-waste rules in 2016, which were amended in 2018, were comprehensive and included provisions to promote authorization and product stewardship. Other categories of stakeholders such as Producer Responsibility Organization, that is PRO, were also introduced in these rules. Now, if you will look into General Studies Paper 3, Conservation, Environment, Pollution and Degradation, Environmental Impact Assessment has been mentioned. Now, UPSC has previously in 2019 has asked a question based on Solid Waste Management Rules 2016, as well as it has also asked a question based on Extended Producer Responsibility. Now try to attempt these questions and let us know your answer in the comment box given below. So here in this discussion, we will be looking at what is e-waste, what is its current status, what is the importance of management of e-waste, what are the challenges, and what are the steps that has been taken under e-waste management rule of 2016. Apart from this, we will also look into the terms like urban mining, the benefits and challenges related to the same. So let's begin our discussion. So to begin with, we must look into what is an e-waste. Now, e-waste is nothing but a waste generated as a end product of a electronic product such as mobile phones or computers. Now let us have a look at the current status of e-waste. Now, annual global production of e-waste is estimated to surpass 50 million ton. India is among the top 5 e-waste producing country in the world with estimated annual production of 2 million ton. Now, another important feature is that like some of the other developing countries, e-waste management in India is dominated by the informal sector. E-waste contains several precious metals, rare earth metals, ferrous and non-ferrous metals, and also it contains plastic, wood and glasses. Now, unscientific practices in the processing of e-waste are associated with several environmental and health externalities. Now, let us have a look into importance of e-waste and its sound management. Now, e-waste acts as a resource. As all e-waste is valuable as it is highly rich in metals such as copper, iron, tin, nickel, lead, zinc, silver, gold and palladium. Now, printed circuit boards, that is PCBs, contain rare and precious metals such as ruthenium, rhodium, palladium, osmium, iridium and platinum, which are together referred to as platinum group of metal, that is PGM. Now, another importance or significance in proper and sound management of e-waste lies in their nature. If handled and disposed in an inefficient manner, they can lead to extremely damaging impact on human health and environment. With the rapid digitalization, the quantity of e-waste is bound to increase. And as we have seen, they have an adverse environmental and health impact because of hazardous constituents such as lead, cadmium, chromium, brominated flame retardants, or polychlorinated biphenyls, that is PCBs, that contaminate soil, water and food. Now before moving to look into challenges and steps taken under e-waste management rule of 2016, let us look into a key term, that is urban mining. Now urban mining refers to the process of recovering valuable materials and resources from discarded electronic devices, appliances and other urban waste streams. It is a sustainable and environmentally friendly way of recycling material and reducing the amount of waste that ends up in landfills. Now, the process of urban mining involves several steps, including collection, sorting, and processing of the waste material. Now, the collected waste is typically sorted into different categories such as metals, plastics, glass, and other materials based on their properties and recycling potential. This sorted waste is then processed using various methods such as mechanical shredding, chemical treatment, and smelting to extract the valuable materials. And what are the materials that you can extract from these waste? This includes gold, silver, platinum, palladium, as well as rare earth elements such as neodymium, cerium, which are used in electronic devices and renewable energy technologies. Now, why this term is in news and why this term is important? Because urban mining has several advantages over traditional mining methods. For one, it reduces the need for new mining activities, which can cause environmental damage and disruption to local communities. In addition, it reduces the amount of waste that ends up in landfills, which helps in conserve natural resources and reduce greenhouse gas emission. Urban mining also has economic benefit as it provides a source of valuable raw material that can be used in the production of new products. So with the amount of e-waste that we are generating, urban mining can be the next avenue to explore. But there are several challenges too, which includes complexity of waste streams, the high cost of processing and recovering materials, and the need for specialized equipment and expertise of the people who are handling such extractions. However, with advancements in technology and increased awareness of the importance of sustainable resource management, urban mining is becoming an increasingly popular and viable option for recovering valuable material and reducing waste. So these were the major facts and information related to urban mining. Let us have a look at the challenges in handling or the proper management of e-waste management. Now let us have a look at the challenges pertaining to the e-waste management in India. First is, it is primarily conducted by the informal sector. The collection and recycling of e-waste is predominantly being done by the informal or unorganized sector. And this is being done through highly environmentally degradative ways, which causes serious health and environmental hazards. Second challenge is high rate of collection but low recovery. Now the e-waste collection is very high in India owing to its valuable content. But since most of the e-waste recycling is done by the informal sector in India, wherein recovery of valuable material ranges between 10 to 20% only. Now the informal sector comprises of unskilled workers, sometimes even children who live in close proximity to dump or landfills of untreated e-waste and work in dangerous working conditions without any protection or safety gear. This leads to exposure of such vulnerable sections to toxic elements. Another challenge is environmental degradation. Now, non-environmentally sound practices such as burning cables to recover copper and unwanted materials in open air causes environmental pollution and severe health hazards to the operators also. Practices like disposal of unsalvageable materials in fields and river banks has led to leaching of heavy metals and chemicals into land and water. Some of the e-waste are extremely complex in terms of their constituent materials and hence difficult to recycle, while the other does not even have environmentally sound recycling technologies. Now, apart from the large informal sector, India faces a number of other challenges in effective management of e-waste, such as lack of infrastructure. The gap between e-waste that is being collected and recycled by authorized dismantlers and the total quantum of e-waste being generated is huge. The existing recycling facility face issues from lack of suitable environmentally sound technologies to lack of steady supply of raw materials. This is mainly because consumers, owing to lack of awareness about the hazardous impact of inappropriate e-waste recycling, sell their electronic waste to informal recyclers for quick money, as it is easier as well as faster. Now, for this reason, registered recycling units are deprived of a regular supply of e-waste, which is crucial for their sustenance. Currently, the authorized e-waste recycling facilities in India capture only a small amount of total e-waste generated, and the rest makes its way into informal recycling. Now, another important challenge is high cost of setting up of recycling facilities. Now, advanced recycling technologies are expensive and make large investment risky, especially when sourcing of e-waste is challenged. Most of the formal recycling companies in India limit their role to only pre-processing of e-waste, wherein the crushed e-waste with precious metal is exported to smelting refineries outside India. An end-to-end solution for e-waste recycling is still not available in India. Electrical and electronic waste with its rich content of valuable metals is increasingly being seen as a harvest point for urban mining. Recognizing the potential of the formal e-waste recycling sector in alleviating the environmental issues caused by unscientific methods of handling and disposal of e-waste, Government of India has taken following new initiative under its e-waste management rules of 2016. The first is extended producer responsibility, which is based on the principle of polluter pay. It brings in producers who have the responsibility to collect the end of life products placed in the market in the past and thereby effectively serves to channelize the electrical and electronic product from cradle to grave. The collection targets were revised in 2018. So far, 1,151 producers of electrical and electronic equipment in the country have been given EPR authorization by the Central Pollution Control Board, that is CPCB. Now, the amendment to E-Waste Management Rule 2016 was made with the objective of channelizing e-waste generated in the country towards authorized dismantlers and recyclers in order to formalize the e-waste recycling sector. Now, the government is currently in the process of developing an online mass balance system to monitor the e-waste flow in India. This would enable automated data management, transparency, and reduced administrative burden of authorities. Shift from traditional paper-based system to electronic recording and better enforcement of extended producer responsibility provisions of rules of 2016. Apart from this, all states pollution control boards, pollution control committees have been mandated to develop inventories of e-waste in their respective states and union territories. Now, the e-waste rules provide producers with the option of using Producer Responsibility Organization, that is PRO, to implement their extended producer responsibility. Now, having seen various aspects related to the e-waste, let us have a look at the way forward. Now, first need is addressing the informal sector. Now, bridging the gap between formal and informal sector is need of hour. improving the working conditions and minimizing the work-related toxic exposure at the e-waste collection, processing, recovery, and disposal sites. Second important thing is cost-effective technologies for recycling e-waste such as Li-ion batteries, printed circuit boards, etc. Research and development on innovative technologies is also required for processing e-waste and effective metal extraction methodologies. And last but not the least, development of sustainable e-waste business models and implementation of pilot projects for different innovations is need of hour. Inspiration for our next discussion comes from this news which featured on page number 12 of the Hindu newspaper. Now, Archaeological Survey of India, that is ASI, stumbled upon a 1300-year-old stupa right in the middle of a mining site in Odisha's Jajpur district, from where condylite stones were supplied for the beautification project of Sri Jagannath temple located in Puri. Now, if you will look into GS paper 1 syllabus, Indian culture, literature, architecture from ancient to modern times has been clearly mentioned. As you all know, UPSC has been asking questions based on features of Buddhism on a frequent basis. So in this discussion, we will be covering information and facts related to stupa from the perspective of preliminary examination. So let's begin the discussion. Now this finding is part of recent excavation activity undertook by ASI in the Parabhadi Hill area of Jajpur district in Odisha. Now there were two 13th century stupas which were discovered. However, the smaller stupa is completely ruined. Now let us first look into what is a stupa. A stupa is a dirt burial mound faced with stone, often containing relics or religious objects and used as a place of meditation. The Great Stupa in Sanchi in Madhya Pradesh is the earliest known stupa dating back to the 4th century BCE. The largest stupa in the world is Borobudur in Indonesia. Now, basic shape of stupa has come to represent the seated Buddha when he achieved enlightenment, that is Nirvana. The square base represents Buddha's crossed legs as he sat on earth. The middle section, called the hemisphere or mound, is the Buddha's body. The conical spire at the top represents the Buddha's head. There may also be wooden pole within the stupa representing Buddha's spine or central channel, that is Avadhuti. When visiting a stupa, practitioners circumambulate it clockwise as a meditation practice, focusing on the endless cycle of rebirth, that is samsara, and the eightfold path that leads to freedom from suffering. Now there are 5 types of stupa. First is relic, that contains the remains of Buddha and his disciples. Second is object stupa, that contains object that belonged to Buddha or his disciples. Third is commemorative stupa, making an event in Buddha's life. Fourth is symbolic stupa, which represent aspects of Buddha's teaching. And fifth is votive stupa, which is erected to make a dedication or to accumulate merit. Now let us understand the architecture of an stupa. Now as you know, the hemispherical body represents the body of Buddha. It is known as Anda. The Anda domed shape recalls a mound of dirt that was used to cover the Buddha's remain. It has a solid core and cannot be entered. Now, Tabena is a relic chamber buried deep inside Anda. A square railing that is known as Hermika is inspired by a square railing or fence that surrounded the mound of dirt, making it as a sacred burial site. Now, the central pillar supporting a triple umbrella form, that is Chhatra, was derived from umbrellas that were placed over the mound to protect it from the elements. It represents the pivot of the universe, the axis Mundi, along which the divine descends from heaven and becomes accessible to humanity. And the 3 circular dishes are 3 jewels or Triyantha of Buddhism, which are the keys to a true understanding of the faith, that is Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Now enclosure wall with decorated gateways, that is Toran, surrounds the entire structure. Now circular terrace, that is Medhi, surrounded by a similar 3-bar railing, supports the anda and raises it off the ground. It likely served as a platform for ritual circumambulation. Now here are some listing from the perspective of preliminary examination. First is important historical stupas of India. One is Amravati Stupa in Andhra Pradesh. Second is Barhat Stupa in Madhya Pradesh. Third is Bhojana Konda in Andhra Pradesh. Chauka Handi in Uttar Pradesh. Dhamek in Uttar Pradesh. Kesaria Stupa in Bihar. Nagarjun Konda Stupa in Andhra Pradesh. Sanchi in Madhya Pradesh, Soneri in Madhya Pradesh, and Udayagiri in Odisha. Now let us look into some details and facts related to Parabhadi Hill where this excavation has been done. It is located close to Lalitgiri. It houses a structure which is believed to be a Buddhist stupa due to its circular appearance and a rock-cut sculpture of meditating Buddha. The site was discovered between 1975 and 1985. The hill is the same date of Lalitgiri, that is 2nd century BC. And a lot of Buddhist images were found in the Sukhuapada village located on Parabhadi foothills. Now the stone that was found was Kondhalite. It is a foliated metamorphic rock. In India, it is also called Bezwada gneiss and Kailasa gneiss. It was named after the Kond tribe of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh because well-formed examples of the rock were found in the inhabited hills of these regions of eastern India. So that brings us to the last part of the discussion today, in which we have compiled some important information from the today's discussion itself from the perspective of preliminary examination. Much details have been discussed while discussing the article. We have here compiled important information that can be basis of preliminary questions. So the first pointer is based on this news which was related to finding of Buddhist stupa. Now important point is the mining site, that is Parabhadi Hill of Jajpur district of Odisha. Another important point is Kondhalite stone, which is basically a foliated metamorphic rock. And these are the rocks from this mining site were being used in the beautification project of Sri Jagannath Temple of Puri. Now the important point from the AGNIPATH scheme news is that soldiers will be recruited annually and most will be leave the service after 4 years. Only 25% will be allowed to continue for another 15 years under permanent commission. Other details related to Seva Nidhi, their pay package, their allowances, their compensation has been covered in detail in the discussion itself. The important pointers from e-waste topic is that all e-waste is valuable as it is highly rich in metals such as copper, iron, tin, nickel, lead, zinc, silver, gold, and palladium. Printed circuit boards contain rare and precious metals such as ruthenium, rhodium, palladium, osmium, iridium, platinum, which are together referred to as platinum group metals. India is among the top 5 e-waste producing countries in the world. While the term urban mining refers to the process of recovering valuable material and resources from discarded electronic devices, appliances, and other urban waste streams. Now the topic of New START Treaty has been already covered, so we have picked up some important information related to New START Treaty. First is, it is a nuclear arms reduction treaty between United States of America and the Russian Federation. It entered into force in 2011. It limits all Russian deployed intercontinental range nuclear weapons, including every Russian nuclear warhead that is loaded onto an intercontinental range ballistic missile that can reach the United States in approximately 30 minutes. It gives the United States the flexibility to deploy and maintain US strategic nuclear forces in a way that best serves US national security interests. So that's all for today's session. Stay tuned for more such updates.